All right, so I am going to give it just a couple minutes and we'll get started here. It took me about 10 minutes to get, or 5 to 10 minutes to get where we are today. Uh, if I start from where we were last time. And what we did, and you could see here, is we initially fired off a spear phishing attack, right? So the spear phishing came in and we executed that. The beacon was called 215 beacon. I dated it. And so that was our initial infection, but we can't do anything with this. In fact, if I was to try to do like a hash dump or something like that, it's very possible we would lose this completely because it's running in an Explorer shell. If we were to track this process, we could see that. So what it will do, ironically, Windows lets you do a PowerShell within there. So I launched a PowerShell last time and it came back. Now this PowerShell is running in a Windows PID, and now I can actually start doing some things. So I'm still not in a high integrity shell, but I am running in Windows. So it's a stair step, right? It's little steps to get where we want to get. But I'm going to elevate privileges at this point. So one way that I know that we can do that is to create a one-liner. This is a PowerShell that is going to basically exploit the system. Since I'm already in a 64-bit shell, I'm going to elevate using a TCP bind, and this stuff isn't real important. It's kind of important for detections, but how it works, I'm not going to get really too deep into. But if you noticed, its port is 9292 to bind this beacon. So 9292, I'll run this in a 32-bit shell just because experience shows me this will have a lot better chance of running within that 64-bit shell. Because what it's doing here is it is going to basically open up it's exploiting itself. This will make some sense here in a second. So I run as admin. There are several different ones I want to show you, and we kind of looked at them last time. There's this event viewer, scheduled task, WScript, token duplication. I'm going to run the top one. This is a UAC bypass using this PLUA DLL. So it's a DLL that it's infecting. And I've got to put the PowerShell that it just created for that. Which means I should have. I did not copy for some reason, which is really unfortunate. So I'll do it again. Because I don't think there's another way to grab that from that one-liner. It just basically does this one time. So if I don't give it the command right after this to make it work, then it ain't gonna work. So we'll use the elevate, 2-bit. I'll copy this time. I'll do this run as admin. The paste the PowerShell. Notice it's encoded already, base 64 encoding. So everything Cobalt Strike does, not everything, but for the most part, every command that you give, it's going to create a base 64 encoded command for the other side. And here it is on the other side. You can see it launching. So this is malicious activity, behavioral protection. So here's the workstation that we're attacking. I'm going to watch this as we do it. Here's the server. Here's the workstation as this launches. That has built it out. So the first one builds out the listener on that system. 7001. And I'm going to connect to itself, kind of like a loopback. 9292 was the port that we're using inside. So this will connect to itself and it will put a little loop back in here. It's not ideal, but that'll get us there. So this shell is going to rely, the new shell that we get is going to rely on this one, and all the commands will be kind of looping back through it, all encoded. I not connect to target. So we'll do this one more time. Sometimes this happens when it's not built out yet. Try to connect to the target. There's it firing again. And there it is. So now, finally, the big red one that we need. So I've got high integrity shell that we've got now. I'm going to put this back in line mode. And I like to color these. So I'm going to color this one. This is my new green one. This one is what we're looped from. So I can keep track of them. All right. So I've got a new high integrity shield, and I can see right here the little loops. Hopefully y'all can see this. I'm not sure if it's too small on this monitor, but I am going to interact with our new beacon, and we're going to start doing some things. It does need to check in, so this is taking a second to check in. The first thing I'm going to do is say sleep 0, just to speed this up a little bit. And I might do a who am I groups just to double check that I'm in a high integrity shell. It's going to take it again. The beacon's got to check in. It's not going to check in for another minute or so. So it'll run these commands linearly in order and come back with a bunch of information for us. So now that I know we're in a high integrity shell, I don't really need this because I can tell Cobalt Strike tells me. But there it is right there, a high mandatory level. So we've properly escalated and now start doing some things, right? So one of the things that we can do is just kind of to see what accounts there might be that are admin accounts on this. I'll do a quick little shell net group to show enterprise admin accounts. I'm not going to do a lot of stuff. We're only doing the bare minimum to get the ransomware delivered. So what I'm doing is I got to elevate privileges, which I just did. I've got to move laterally. I need network shares. I need authentication. So I'm trying to get hashes, targets, and network shares. Really those three things. And I can plant my malware. So administrator, big surprise. The one we're going through is a really complicated layout that I've got here. Get system is built in to get system access, NT system access from this if I can get it. I will also do a hash dump, and it's so now it's impersonating system on hashes that I do here moving forward. So I should be able to get hash dumps. I should be able to get Minikats. I'll launch both of these in order. Logon passwords is just, it's so simple. This is what you do. Actually, I should be showing you from this. So it's the same thing as this. I can do Minikats right here. I can do hash dump right here. So I don't have to know these commands. You just, point and click, and here it is, giving me a bunch of information. Just to show you, I don't have any targets, just the one that I've launched on, and I should have credentials now. So it has popped in these credentials just now. You can check the date, 1209. Popped in, both of these commands worked. The hash dump works. So here's my hashes from all these different local accounts, and then here's one that's a domain account through Mimikatz. Again, not clear text. It could have been, in fact, just for grins. If someone had gotten network access, what did I do wrong here? Drives already in use. Duh. Well, so that's interesting too. Oh, I know why. So I'm going to map a network drive. I'm going to run this Minikatz again just for grins. See if I catch anything more. Right here. Credentials. So real time populates this once it gets them in. So it does take it a second to do, but here's some credentials we can use, right? So one problem solved, and you can see the mimikatz right here. This is exploit prevention. That is brand new. I'm not even sure if we're seeing that yet, but we're supposed to be seeing it as of today. Prevention. And look at that. There it is. So this is local. Just punch this in out of LSAS, out of memory, scrape this, and that's a clear password that I used. That's not a hash. So we can get clear passwords out of this. I'm just showing you how that happens. If there was an administrator, like a system account that did a backup, the maintenance and things that go on these systems leaves these credentials behind. So this is how you can pick it up. All right, so we've got some hashes, we got some things going on. Let's see here. Get back to my beacon. Probably the next thing that we can do is start to get persistence, right? I've got the credentials that I want. I need to get persistence so that if I lose access here, I can get my way back, right? So we'll start by uploading a script. The script is anydesk.bat. What it actually does, to show you, and actually we'll look at the system and see it over here. Put it somewhere. So here's what this does. It creates a administrator account, pops the old administrator into an old administrator account, creates a new one. It hides the administrator account in the registry. Then it installs AnyDesk, right, by invoking that. So there's a web request invoking AnyDesk, which is a remote control software that Conti used, that lots of people use. It's not considered malicious, but everyone's probably seen this, right? You punch the code in, you take remote control. It's going to install that. It's going to install it silently, hopefully. Although they mentioned that this is what they do if there's not somebody at the desk. This will, this is going to bring up something, an application on their screen, like you'll see here in a second. So you don't want them to be at that screen. Here's the password to get in, and then they will delete the old user, and then it's going to send me the ID, Cobalt Strike, so that I can take control over the system remotely. All right, so that's basically what this does. And now I'm just going to execute it. By the way, so even though it just dumped it into System 32, if you're running in a 32-bit shell within a 64-bit shell, it actually puts it in a syswow64 directory. So it's a little bit weird. It's like a symbolic link directory. I'm not really sure how that works, but that's where it's located. We'll execute it, and I want to see what happens over here as this goes down. So this is my workstation here, and it is now executing. And I shouldn't even need to bypass. This is the weird thing, is that I don't need to bypass UAC or anything like that. If I did need to, I would schedule a task. So let's do that. Let's schedule the task. Actually, we don't need to. So right there it is, right there. So it just did all that silently in the background, and this is what we have on our screen. Right, this one little AnyDesk piece. Let me make it bigger. There it is. I don't have an ID yet, so that might break. There's my ID, 172. So this script did run and work without admin access. But I don't have the ID back. So it may be that it sent me back the ID before it was there. I noticed it did take a little bit of time to get to me. I could run that manually, something like this, shell AnyDesk ID. See if I could get it back manually. If it just stopped working for me and I couldn't actually get the ID, there's always, let's see. There it is. So I can get the ID, and from here I can take control of that workstation, right? Hopefully I don't need to do that. Everybody's seen that happen, but I got full control over it now. If it didn't bring it back to me, I can always do like a screenshot. And if I'm doing a screenshot, I like to do keyloggers. Again, all this stuff is very easy to do. Just keystrokes, keylog. Let's see what we got. There's keystrokes. Here is screenshots. There it is. There's a screenshot showing me the ID in case I needed to actually see the screenshot. And just to, I'll say, yikes. I'm just typing a little bit onto here to, I don't need to hit enter or anything like that. We should get a keystroke come through. So I mentioned that, and there it is, yikes. So every key, now keystroke goes to me. It's delivered through Beacon, so it obfuscates firewall and all that good stuff. I did mention if this didn't run, and if I wanted to maybe make this more persistent, I'll go back to my Beacon, and I could actually deliver that to happen all over again with a scheduled task. So run down here and see task scheduler. See what we got running in here. This might be too small for people to read, but any day now. There it is. So here's my task scheduler. I'm going to go ahead and run this. And what it's going to do is it's going to put this batch file that I just created. It's going to actually run the AnyDesk again. It's not going to do my script. Just going to run AnyDesk out of program data. It's going to do it at, I could, if I wanted it to go right away, I could change the time here, right? So it's 12:18. I could say, 12:30 or something like that. And I'm going to run it at the highest level. Again, I don't need any passwords or anything. I'm already authenticated as a system. So if I run this, it's going to put it in here as Microsoft updates. I want to try to be sneaky, right? A little bit. I don't want them finding it. So give this a second, see if it works. We already have another backdoor through AnyConnect. Now we have should get I didn't see any amp prompts come up, but it is in there. Let me refresh and we'll see. Refresh. And there it is, right there. Microsoft updates. So that worked. Now I'm in there as a Microsoft update. We will continue. What else should we do maybe? So we've got keylogger on, we've got screenshots. In Conti, they had two different ways for persistence. So I think that running both of them is kind of nice. We'll do both. We'll do Adara.msi. So this is a file that I've already created from Adara. Adara is a remote control application for controlling remotely, creating shells. I can run PowerShell. I can take full control of the desktop, and it's much more stealthy than AnyDesk. You can do this while they're at the desk, but they would install this, and the MSI file has my credentials already built into it, right? So I had to create an account over at Adara, and this is my account, so it should give me access, and I can start using it. Spoiler, I think this account expired. They only give you 30 days, and I think it's expired. So I won't actually show you the interface side today. It'd be fun to do that. It's incredible if you've never used it. It's for remotely, managing. It's awesome. I'm a big fan. But it's putting Adara on here, so notice it puts it on in little chunks of data. I kind of talked to you last time about that. It's like BitTorrent, right? It's sending it in little bits of data, and then it will put it together and assemble that on the client side so that we can stay sneaky. And that's probably about it. If I wanted to, I could say, if I wasn't sure, what is it, shell? Sometimes I'm not really sure if it's there. We can actually get a full report, a full file browser, um, and I can see everything that's happening on the system, even before. I can actually get that in a low integrity or a medium integrity shell, so I can see the file structure at least in the files in the directory that we have exploited. But I can get all of the files here and see if they're there. But just to show you kind of some different things that we can do, and it is not there yet. I'll wait just a hair longer. Maybe we'll go on to something else till it's there, and then we'll execute that. Any questions so far? Okay. So one thing that I don't have yet still is targets. I need the target. I need my server here so I can jump to it. I already have credentials to do it. Not really. I have hashes, so we'll pass the hash, but I don't have it here yet. So there's a couple different ways we can start doing that. I can, uh, I can start doing like a port scan or something like that. I think probably let's do a port scan. Shell IP config. Everybody's done an IP config. I want to see what my gateway is because I don't want to port scan my gateway. I want to stay around that gateway. I'm assuming that they'll have some, TCP port scanning, detections on the gateway. It's probably a firewall. Not sure, but we'll find out. So it's 2.1. I can do a port scan. Before I do, let me just cheat. So it does let me do a domain controller look at actually using, I think, Mimikatz under the hood here. It's not a standard lol bins that you can do without invoking something. And you can see this is an exploit attempt that just popped up, but it did tell me, here's my server, there's the IP of it, right? And if I look at my targets, now I can go after it. But I am going to go ahead and do the port scan because I want to get caught, I guess. And I'm going to do it from 2.2, so I'm not going to actually port scan my default route. This will give SCA a chance to catch it, but firewall, the firewall shouldn't see it. And I could even run it, I could run these differently too. And I haven't really played with this, but just to show you, if I wanted to do some scanning, port scanning, I can use ARP like I'm using now. See the ARP 1024. I can change the size of those ARP packets. I can use ICMP or I can use none and be really stealthy. I'm not really sure how this works, but I noticed it in there and I haven't played with it yet, but that looks interesting to me. At this point, I'm trying to emulate, so I want to get a port scan in there. This is going to take it a little bit of time to do. Start doing a port scan. It starts and it runs for a little bit. One of the other things that we can do here as well is net view. And a net view is going to give me not just ports, but vulnerabilities and other information and mapped drives and things like that. Apparently in here, it's actually doing a share. What is it? We'll look at it. It invokes a net share, like a map sharing exploit under the hood here. So we'll send that out, do some stuff, and we don't have anything back yet. Notice it's taking its time. It's after a minute. So it's going to have to process this stuff and start doing it, but we'll let it start doing it. Meanwhile, I want to probably get off of this server here. So let's see if we can jump over to a target. I don't have any other targets. Man, this is taking its time. This always makes me start getting nervous when it gets into 2 minutes here, that something might have broke, but I think we're okay. We're just going to keep at it. Sometimes these take it a little bit of time. Sometimes the net view, it can break it from time to time. Just it depends on how it negotiates these PIDs and how the OS reacts to it. Sometimes it just doesn't work well. But we're going to move on. We are going to try to elevate. So what I can do from the server here is just double check. That's what I thought. We need to probably turn off real-time protection. So let's do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that through the console, but let's adjust it here. So Defender looked like it was kind of giving me some problems. So I really don't want Defender in there. I should have probably done a group policy, push at the very beginning but we've got high shell access. So it's given us plenty of chances to disable that up till now. So let's go ahead and disable it. Let me find a good command for doing that. The one I like to use here is here. Go back to the beacon, and I'm going to force my AV. Does it through the registry. There's a lot of commands that do this. Is just one way to do it. And we'll wait for that to happen real quick. Takes it a second. Hopefully we didn't break anything by that happening, but I do still have this beacon. Even if this one's broke, it has checked in. So I think we're good. We'll move on. If I've got targets here, we're good. What I was looking for is services. So services from my server. So what I just did was I'm looking at the targets, and here's what I can do. I can try to jump to it, or I can scan it, or I can look for some services. I can look for services without scanning it. So that's what I was going to do here next. See if I can interact with this beacon, see what it's doing. So I don't think it's even ran some of this yet. I think it's still doing some I think it's still doing some port scanning in here. I've got some services. 2 minutes. So it's making me nervous. I'm going to pop in another. I'm going to exploit this again, I think. Just to keep things rolling. Interactive. It may still be processing these things. It takes a little bit of time. Lost the link. So I think I lost the link to that. I could probably do it a different way like this, but I'll stay on the script. Wait, choose, launch. Go. Yeah, this is going to put a whole nother detection there that I didn't want in my logs, but it'll be a duplicate. jump onto this again, and I'll get rid of this since it's abandoned. Ooh. But luckily, so you can see if this happens in real life, I still have I still had a stronghold here. And if this didn't work, I would go look at my Adara shell and I'd take control. I think we've got enough backdoors in at this point. It wouldn't have been completely terrible, but go ahead and jump back into this and then jump over to my other server. So this does take a little bit of time. So maybe I will go over what we're doing while it's popping this up. Let me do that. Here's where we are. This is pretty small. Let's see if I can make it any bigger. So here's where we are. I did some hash dumps, did some sleeps. I did AnyDesk. I did not do a second scheduled task with MSI, but I can do that. I'll probably do that before we get out of this. Shell IP config. Looked at the domain controllers. We did a port scan. I think that's where we kind of lost, where Defender started snuffing us here. But we're kind of to the point where we're going to get to the server, do exfiltration and grab my map files, and we're not going to actually encrypt my server, but if I can exfiltrate data and I can get a hold of my network shares, that's all that's needed. They used Masslock to take the network shares offline and create a batch file that they executed to basically lock all the map drives for them. It's kind of the last step, but we're going to stop at exfiltration, and I think I'll load Inve because I know that'll be a good detection. Inve is a NTLM v2 exploit that allows you to do a browser replay. It's a reflection attack. I'm saying that wrong. It's a replay attack. So basically gives me it proxies internet traffic, or I should say it sniffs internet traffic, and then it's going to give me what looks like a session cookie so that I can hijack a browser session without any credentials whatsoever. So that's what Inve does, is let me take over browser sessions and not have to do anything. But this is what we're doing. I could not connect to target. I think that is another where I just hadn't built it out quite yet. Dang it. There it is. All right. So this is my new screen. I'm going to immediately jump over to these services here. Let's just jump over to I don't have to do it through a service, but I do want to show you that. So let's see if I can get them again. I'll see if I can just jump on it right here. So this is how the power of a pen testing tool can really help, because from here, you're like, how am I going to get to the server? Well, I can take my credentials that I got. Again, this is not a password, it's a hash, even though it says password. This is a password, but this is just a hash. And I don't even have to pick it. I could use the sessions current if I've got admin capability, but I want to make sure that I get over there. So I'll snag a hash that I see. We'll use the Conti, the regular listener, and I'll go through my high integrity shell and I'll launch this. I do want to also shorten the time frame to get these things done. Really wish I could show services. The fact that I can't makes me think that this may not pop up, but we'll give it a second. much time? So we're 36 minutes in. I think we'll get done. But did want to show you all the output. Started service. Look at this. It's starting up C9, and it tells me this is the file name .exe that it's sending over to manipulate that OS and make this happen. Let it finish. Need more keystrokes. No. In fact, I'll start getting rid of some of this. I don't need screenshots, but you can see files. Two green ones. This is the PID that I'm using, so I want to keep track of that. 5460. This is my good one. This one's gone. All right. Well, we are waiting, and I was going to hopefully show any type of server message that might come up. Yeah, this is the great part about pen testing, that you're like waiting for a beacon to come back, and here it is. So got on my server. Hey, hot ziggity. On my server as a high mandatory shell. So that worked. Take control of this, interact, shorten down my interval of the beacon here, and let me move this out of the way. The one thing that we were going to do on the old one was one more scheduled task. I wanted to do that second scheduled task for the Adara.msi. We didn't get that in there, so it's another scheduled task. I'm going to call it Microsoft Update 2 for the Adara MSI. Now that will run every day at 1725. I'd probably change this to, I want to fire it up at, since this is a remote control, this one, they can be on the system, so 8 o'clock. The other one, we want to use it while they're not on the system, the AnyDesk. So create that, run back to the server. Still waiting on the beacon, but we will be able to see scheduled task. All right, on the server. Hopefully we're going to get some beacon here in a second. It's getting into 2 minutes, so it should pop me up something here. I'm gonna do a disable anti-spyware. So I'm gonna basically try to disable AV completely. It's gonna be the first thing that we'll do. Then we'll do a get system. So I'll try to grab system credentials, even though I think it says there I already have it. At least now I'll get the detection showing up. We'll get Mimikatz, do that through this. So I've gotten all the credentials I can possibly get from the workstation and my server. And you can see here, it keeps track. So here's these .200. These are all the ones from a server that I just popped up. And look at here, Kerberos. So now I can do Kerberos if I want to. This basically, there's a lot of different ways to do Kerberosing. I think of it like pulling the Kerberos ticket and taking this out off net and cracking. That's why I'm not doing Kerberos. And there's other ways to do it, but we're in the system, so let's go back and get done. Invalid. Oh, that was for my other system. Let's put a good value in there. It's got to be 0800. I don't have it in here yet. But now I should have update. Let's refresh. There it is. So both of those work, 8 a.m. The other one, I probably should have said, 7 p.m., but you get the idea. Back to our server. There's all of our cached accounts, and we've disabled AV. One thing that we can do we hadn't done is I can do a kit list accessible shares. So we get an enum kit here using Power View. I could say, hey, I want to get my shares. So let's try that. See if it works. If not, there's always, I'm on the server already. So there's always a net share you could run, right? I don't have to exploit things, but this is really needed. The shares are needed to put together the ransom package, right? To deploy out, and you can see this firing up malicious activity on my server, behavioral protection engine. So we are definitely seeing some bad apples happening here. And I can see the share. I'll just use the $C, right? We'll just get the whole thing. Why not, right? So the first thing I got to do is download my tool. I'm going to download our clone as my tool to the server because it's probably not on there already. I could have determined applications, right? I can list installed applications on the server. We'll do that too. I can get all kinds of information, but at this point, I don't need it. I've already got the domain admin access. I've got everything we need. And yeah, it's showing me the applications that I have. So yeah, AnyConnect. So now I know I need to disable AMP. I would have already known that and already done it. But anyway, just showing you we can see applications. So we'll get our clone on there, and then I'm going to just basically we are almost done. While it is loading up, it does take a second. Maybe we can do that in Bay. This should set off alarms. All right. I'm just going to do it for 5 minutes, but at this point, I don't need to, right? I don't think I need any sessions, but this is about pen testing emulation. We're not actually trying to evade. Okay, so just did. Sure if I actually uploaded. Double check my beacons here. Invade. What? Yeah, I did not.
Secure endpoint on your server was flashed a minute ago.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Once, oh yeah. So yeah, it would be. It's funny because these will keep firing. As soon as this beacon, this is my initial exploit. This will continue to set off off beacons as it runs. So usually I like to kind of kill that. It just creates a lot of noise. However, AMP does not see this as malicious until it runs it through the sandbox. So it runs it through that threat grid 100% of the time. Never seen it catch it yet. So this time we caught it because it's dated 215. I didn't create a new one. It's already been seen as malicious. We'll see that in the endpoint if we make it that far. But so yeah, this one will continue to bring up. And it's not on the server though. This was on the workstation. This over here is doing it because of activity, and I'm putting a file on here that's going to cause some problems. So I think we're ready to go. Here's my statement at the end. This is really important. And this is where the cat and mouse game is, I think, somewhat. So what this does, it's gonna use our clone. It's going to we're gonna do the whole server $$. So I'm just gonna do the whole thing. Lockbit. This is my credentials through Mega. You would never know that. You can look at the files on the hard drive, and basically I've created our clone has a built-in mechanism that lets you create credentials inside of it. So that's what the config file was. So it's going to go to Mega at this directory structure, and Mega is just a storage facility. I'll show you here in a second. And it's going to basically be tearing these apart, the data apart. I can do 3 streams. I can do 2. They actually put in here, and here's the bandwidth limit. So I don't want to, I want 100 meg perhaps of data, even though I can only do 20 to a free account at Mega, but I'm going to do 5 streams, and we can, this is, I think, how they had it. Conti's got several different examples that they show, and this would, be where you can play around with evading detection and not, right? Because we're going to slow it down. We're going to put it into small streams and small chunks of data. And just like a BitTorrent, it's going to reassemble all that stuff on the other side. Kind of see this happen. So here we go. Mega, my Mega account. Probably should have some server stuff going on here, but I don't think we'll see anything. Drive. Here's my lockbit folders. Yeah.
Something that Sean noticed when he was doing not the brand new attack that he's about to hand over to Dustin, but the previous one was if you spin up a virtual server inside of Windows, right?
Yes.
Everything on that.
You detect nothing.
Yeah, because nor on the network too, because the network stack is run in parallel to the host stack. So that could definitely be a really interesting attack vector to, especially if the virtual machine can attach to the host machine, you could pull everything over to it and then send everything out the virtual machine and bypass everything.
Yeah. The other thing that I noticed that you could do is change the time on your server. If you change the time on the server, it changes the time and date on your log files. And so the log files show up in a different place. And I saw that as well. But yeah, if I can get the if I can stop sharing for a second. Resume. I'm gonna resume. And so here you can see data going into my Mega Drive. Go into it and see, and it's popping stuff in there, and it'll keep going until it's done. The interesting thing about this is I could completely get out of this right now, and it's going to continue. So after I've launched my attack, we're doing encryption, we're doing exfiltration. I can literally get out of the network completely and let it go, and it'll keep going. I have found that organizations find it difficult to find and stop this behavior because they can't see it's coming from the server. They got to have some tools to figure out where it's coming from. If I was to do this from a couple places, it's kind of persistent in itself in that I don't need to be control over it from this point forward. But a couple things that we can do on our way out, right? One of the things that I've seen and we did the INVE, another quick thing that we'll do on our way out of this before I hang up is even better than clearing the logs. So we might have cleared the logs before. I meant to do that if we didn't, but I like this a little bit better. This will go, and actually it may not work on the server here, but I'll do it anyway. I think I was going to do this on the workstation, but this will go and pop out the last 3, make it 5 different entries. So when you clear the security logs, they show 0. right? But I like, if we can pop out the last 5, then you might not think that I messed with it. So yeah, it's giving me some error IDs because I didn't have it set up to do this on the server, but it would have worked on a workstation. But what I could do is just wipe out the whole log file. So let me do that. Let's see. Go. So I'll look here and it may work. Oops. So I just task the beacon to run PowerShell, event log, name security. I'm going to remove that log. Probably do that with my amp logs as well. Interesting. And so the system log, I think, is what I wiped, or no, the security log. So that should end up being 0, 0 here is what I was hoping for. Fresh. There you go. Gone. All the security logs gone. So wrapping up this type of attack, it's condensed. We didn't really do a lot of stuff from within there, but this is all that's needed. At this point, I launch. I've got full access. I own this network, and I own it persistently. So this is kind of the goal of pen testing. I will move this stuff aside, and we've got 5 minutes. So I think I'm going to table this next part, which is the part that everybody wanted to see. I'll put on recording at least that the absence of exploit prevention into XDR is really challenging. This did not do well. It didn't do well because the way that AMP is working or not working, we've got some detections there. Oh, okay. So first off, and I'm going to do this I'm going to give you like a 2-minute overview and then we can pick it apart later. Or I actually want to do this and give it another chance because this is what it ends up looking like. It's 2 different attacks because it didn't see similar things on, this is the server, this is the workstation. It didn't see any like things to correlate on, even though there was things to correlate on. Specifically, the hash dump, the Mimikatz, I did it on both sides. And so it's catching some of that and it's really not catching most of it. I've been talking with the endpoint folks and we're trying to figure out why AnyDesk and why I don't see anything really. I don't see anything from AnyDesk. I don't see any the Adara. I don't see the R clone. None of that. We did show exfiltration, but it was done from the network side. So we saw that exfiltrating data from the network side. And it looked like this. Um, oh, this right here didn't make it either. This internal port scan. So that's the first time I've seen this where it's here, but it didn't get related in with the incident. I'm not sure why, but that was kind of concerning. It has done that every time in the past. Go a little further here with my detections and show you what the exfiltration should look like. At some point, just do networks. We might have to save this. This might be hard to find. Actually, it's right here. So Here is the one that I showed last time that put everything together. This is what you could expect for the Conti playbook, the full playbook it puts together because there's enough detections that it sees those things. But boy, if you shorten that thing down, AMP doesn't do well. Let me just leave you with this. Find it. Mirror mesh. Here's what I would expect. Here's what we're going to end up getting at some point. This is CrowdStrike. We're seeing our clone and AnyDesk and all of the stuff that we did. I don't see any of it in AMP. So AMP's not really doing any of that. Not sure why, but there's my traffic outliers. This is Mega. The R clone sent it to Mega, and that's what it kind of looks like here. If I followed it, probably show me. Take me right to it. But I find this interesting because it's not just sending files like FTP, it's sending, short packets of data, and it's sending it to different locations. So it's all Mega. You can see right here, it's all Mega, but different IPs. So that's how that works and how it's stealthy. We detect it. We just this time, not sure why. Anyway, 1 minute. I'm gonna shut the recording off unless there's any questions or